Yeah. The the magic of computers is I've unsquished you so you look normal on the feed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I got you. I noticed. That's why I brought it up. I noticed your feed
Yeah,
was squished, so you look
yeah.
weird on
Discord.
Discord,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
on YouTube you look great.
That
All
that
right.
that's good.
Shall we begin?
Yes, I think we
All right.
shall.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And today we're behind on the trends, but we're going to take it back to 2016, when the show was just me and Ryan talking about movies, and most of the time it was Ryan make me watch a Denzel movie from the 90s. So
Yeah,
we're
a
talking about
real
the
throwback.
1990. Yeah, throwback on many levels. So we're talking about the 1996 film Courage Under Fire, um, starring Denzel Washington and Meg Ryan. Evidently, it's Meg Ryan month here on the show. Um, so that's something I did not expect. But we did not expect to be having to do the show. This was a last minute change up because things popped up for Devin and he was unavailable. And the main reason we were going to do the pick that we had chosen for this week was to make Devin watch it. So we're going to hold off on that one until Devin's available. But tonight you got me and Ryan, and if you're new to the show, each week we make each other watch movies one of us has never seen. I have never seen Courage Under Fire, um, so we're going to get into that shortly. We like to start off the show talking about things that we've watched in pop culture recently over the last few weeks or so. And this is I have something that we've talked about on the show before, but I wasn't able to contribute. But now I can. I've started watching The Pit.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So I've been spending a lot of time in Pittsburgh, and uh, I was like, let's just watch a hospital show that takes place in Pittsburgh, uh, while in a hospital in Pittsburgh. So, been watching The Pit. I'm caught up on season one. I'm didn't haven't watched last week's episode yet, but I really enjoyed the show. Uh, I like the real time feel of it. It reminds me a bit of 24 without the clock. Um, I think it's very well done. Noah Wiley's great. I can see why the Michael Crichton um, estate was mad about the concept of this show, because it does just seem like a ER ripoff, but it's got its own thing going on, so it's not that. But I'm really enjoying it. Um, but the reason I wanted to bring it up tonight is they did a crossover with The Simpsons on the 800th episode this past weekend. Did you get a chance to see those clips?
I saw a reel on Instagram
Yeah.
of it. Um,
Then you probably saw the whole thing.
and
It was just that one scene.
okay, so it's a perfect example of why whenever, because I don't know if you've known this because I haven't really brought it up. I have attempted to do rewatches of The Simpsons maybe 3 times,
Okay.
since it's been up on Disney Plus, and I always get to like 1997, 1998, and then I either burn myself out because I'm watching like so many episodes at once that I'm kind of forgetting what's going on. Um, and that clip that I saw on Instagram is kind of like both sides of the coin as to why I'm attempting to do these rewatches and why I think I don't get that far in it.
Yeah.
So like I like the parody. Like I like the fact that they're pulling these characters in and some of the bits that they do, but then there's like the lines where like the attending, the character whose actor was in ER,
Mm-hmm.
says, "Where's the plucky new girl that's
Yeah.
always like positive, upbeat?" And then you've got like her come in. It's like it's that type of stuff that I'm like, you couldn't have thought of something better to say. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
have like referenced, the actresses, like, like father maybe, like
Yeah.
instead of
Well,
introducing her that way. But
I I think it's better to make the joke about her character on the show and not about Bryan Cranston. Um, but yeah, the Simpsons. I love the show. They always have that channel on Disney Plus where it's streaming The Simpsons nonstop and just episode after episode, except for that one with Michael Jackson. Um, and I'll look at it just to see what season it's on, and if it's like below season 20, I'll watch it, and
hmm
if it's above season 20, I'll be like, maybe let's see if there's something else I want to watch. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, 800 episodes is insane though. Um, but yeah, all that to say, I'm enjoying the pit. I'm excited to see this season play out. And I like the episodic nature of 1 week at a time and everyone's talking about it on the internet. Like that's,
hmm
I miss that because you don't get that a lot with shows anymore.
Yeah, and I feel like eventually, I'm really hoping that eventually, I'm a fan of that myself, and I really want that to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I really want that to be more of a thing. I also want more episodes. Like I understand that now, like the main thing is to like have one giant like narrative, like a movie, just spread out over like 10 hours or 15 hours,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, like a bunch of like uh 45-minute storylines, like 25 of them in a season. I I feel like there's room for both, and I really
Yeah.
want to see the one come back um once a week, just because it just I don't like, there's a lot of stuff that we're missing now that we used to have, and I know this is
Mm-hmm.
probably more like nostalgia talk,
Well,
but
the
I kind of I miss it.
the industry has changed, and it's a lot
Mhm.
harder. It's a lot more expensive to do a 24 episode season. But I think something like if you look at 24 for example, 24 started in 2001 where they were doing 24
Mhm.
episodes a season. And then when it like the last time they brought 20 the last few seasons of 24 was around the time the industry started shifting. Like when they brought it back maybe 10 years ago for the the 24 legacy thing, it was a 12 episode season. Like they only did the real time thing for 12 hours, and I don't even think it was a complete 12 hours because I think the first and last episode kind of were just a story that they time jumped to different parts of.
Mhm.
But I think the the shift in episodic television is part of the reason you see like the writer strikes and the actor strikes. Like it's shifting, and the industry is shifting with it, and it's causing issues not only for the audience but for the industry itself. So people
Yeah.
are like, it's always changing. I like that the pit itself is 13 episodes because that seems a little bit longer than what you
Mhm.
would get on like Disney Plus. Like Wonder Man, which we talked about last week, was 8 episodes, and they were all a half hour. So that's like a yeah. It's not that
Yeah.
much content. Like, but they're spending millions of dollars on it, so they like it's Marvel, so they're going to throw a lot of money at even
Mhm.
an episodic thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm enjoying the pit. Highly recommend it. Another highly recommended thing that I don't know if I know I've talked about it on the show before, but I want to talk about it again. Is oh, where'd it go? There we go. Shrinking on Apple TV. Have you watched this yet?
I have only seen trailers for it.
Okay. Shrinking is from the creators of Ted Lasso. Um, Bill Lawrence and Brett Goldstein, who played Roy Kent, plays Roy Kent because they're bringing that back. It tells the story
Mhm.
of therapists dealing with. It starts off with like Jason Segel's character being like like trying to hide from the fact that his wife died in a car accident. He's got a teenage daughter at home that he's not neglecting, but like he's failing as a father, and like he tries to turn his life around and starts like going unorthodox with his therapy patients. And the show grows from that into this ensemble comedy, where you get like his friends involved, his neighbors, his colleagues. It does what a Bill Lawrence show does great, which is becomes an ensemble show.
Yeah.
Because he did the same thing on Cougar Town. Like Cougar Town started off with this concept of Courtney Cox is a cougar in Florida, and then it turned into this ensemble comedy where you had everyone playing off of each other in these character dynamics, and you can mix and match the characters, and you'd get a different dynamic every time, and all of them were great. That's what Shrinking does. Like Harrison Ford is in here playing Jason Segel's boss, who's dealing with Parkinson's disease, and giving like some of his best performances of his career as Paul on Shrinking. He has a lot to do this season because as the show goes on, the Parkinson's gets worse, and they've brought in Michael J. Fox to be a character on the show too, and like the two of them have these great scenes. Like you get to see Indiana Jones and Marty McFly acting together and just both giving phenomenal performances. And there's a scene in the episode that dropped today that I watched before the show where Harrison Ford's character enters a room like very proud of himself, and he just starts singing ba ba da ba 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 da I'm back. Like he just sings the Indiana Jones theme, and I'm like, okay, like it's subtle but it works. Like, and you can tell like Harrison Ford's having fun on the show because there's like seeing him behind the scenes with the cast and at award shows. Like he's really enjoying himself, and it's great to see one of the best performances of his career come out of the show that is in the same vein of Ted Lasso, inspiring and entertaining.
Okay. Yeah, that's a show I need to get back on. I've not seen the third season of that yet.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
And I really need to finish that off.
I just restarted watching it when they announced that season 4 was coming back for this summer, and
then I really need to get on top of it.
I actually quoted Ted Lasso to one of my students the other day, and I was like, and I said something, and then I got back to my office and just slapped my Believe sign above my door. So that wasn't a joke. I actually have a Believe sign in my office.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Yeah. But yeah, highly recommend Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. Yeah, that's all I've got for We've Watched This. Let's get into today's main pick. If you're new to the show, each week we make each other watch movies one of us has never seen. I made the comment at the beginning of the show. We started this show 10 years ago in March of 2016, and it was just Ryan and I in a closet talking about movies. And a lot of the picks that we did were from the 90s, at least on Ryan's end. They were from the 90s, and they starred Denzel. So hashtag 2016, here you go. We're talking about a Denzel movie from the 90s. Ryan, this is your pick, Courage Under Fire. Tell us about it.
Okay, so Courage Under Fire is a 1996 movie. It deals with the first Gulf War. You've got a soldier who was the commander of like a tank battalion. I'm not in the military. I don't know what the terminology is, but he's in charge of a bunch of tanks, not just his own. And it's the ground invasion of Kuwait from the Alliance to get the Iraqi army out of Kuwait in the like very early 90s, late 80s. Friendly fire incident happens. Denzel Washington's character develops alcoholism and PTSD, and his general, who is his friend, gives him what he sees as a soft mission to go and do a report on a helicopter pilot that is played by Meg Ryan, to interview the people involved in an incident that happened with her to potentially give her the Medal of Honor. Um, None of the events in this movie are real. It is all fiction. The premise of the movie deals with friendly fire, and there was a, a lot of there was a significant amount of casualties that happened to U.S. soldiers from friendly fire incidents during the Gulf War, and that was kind of a kick in the face because of how like advanced we were
Mm.
in our military tech at that time, and people didn't think that was going to be a thing, and it was. I think almost every branch of the military that was involved had one or two friendly fire incidents. Like it was more than just a handful. So this movie was kind of doing a deep dive into that. That is like how the government handled it, how the soldiers involved would handle it, and that was Denzel Washington's storyline. And then you've got Meg Ryan's storyline, which is more or less about secrets and how those kind of blow up in your face. Uh, the first time I saw this movie, I think I was 12. I think like maybe a year after this came out that I eventually saw it. I think it was on like Showtime or HBO. And I think it was one of the first times I actually sat down and watched kind of like a slow movie. Was like really entranced with it. Um, Not a movie I watch all the time. In fact, I kind of grasped at this one because we had to change movie picks
Yeah.
for this episode. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what movie should I suggest? And I was trying to think and think and think. And we just did a Meg Ryan movie. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second. I don't think I've ever had Alan watch Courage Under Fire. And I'm like, huh, we just did a Meg Ryan movie. This is kind of funny. So let's throw this in.
Yeah.
I know how heavy the content of this movie is, but the lightheartedness I had at that moment was quickly dashed by remembering how heavy the storyline in this movie was. Um, uh, there are two things that I will get into in this movie that I will laugh at when people make fun of, and I will like make fun of it myself. Um, but before we get into that, Alan, what did you think?
Yeah, this is a movie that I'd never seen before. I'd heard of it, um, but never watched it. Um, I liked how it played out like an investigation. Like it played out like a procedural where you get the different points of views and you have to put the pieces together yourself. Because sometimes you'll get like what happened up front, and then you have to watch the characters piece it together. But you're going along on this journey with Denzel, trying to piece everything together until it all makes sense in the end. Um, this seems like a different turn for Meg Ryan than I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've most of the time when we talk about her, it's with rom coms. This feels like it was a attempt to get away from that. They get away from the romance stuff and maybe try to go for an award. It doesn't play off like it was like it didn't work if that was what this was an attempt at. But
Yeah.
like it's got the prestige of Denzel and baby Matt Damon, but
Yeah.
it's I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think this is one I would ever watch again, but I did
Yeah.
enjoy the mystery of it and how it all came together.
Okay. Yeah, that's that's what I hear the most. Whenever this movie comes up during anything that comes across my screen when I'm scrolling, that's pretty much the gist of what almost everyone says. Um, I though myself am a sucker for 90s movies, Denzel Washington and a few other people who were in this movie. So this is one that like I will man, I haven't watched it in like 10 years, but this was a movie that for a while If I couldn't find anything on and I was just like, clicking through the channels and I saw this at any point, I would just stop and just have it on. Now, the director of this movie. I just took a quick glance at it. My dyslexia is probably going to get the better of me with his last name, or actually not. Ed Edward Zwick,
Yeah.
Zwick.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not realize this until just now. Before we got started, I looked at what other stuff that he's done, and I realized that I can totally do a Edward Denzel movie trilogy.
Oh.
He Glory,
Okay.
he did this, and then he did The Siege,
Okay.
possibly my favorite Denzel Washington movie. So now I have a trilogy now for Denzel, like
Okay.
outside of it just being him. um, and then I saw that this director also did Blood Diamond. So I actually really like this director. I want to find out more about him because a lot of the movies he does has to do with like deep like deep American societal and political questions. Because a lot of his stuff, it's all I I don't know the backstory on Glory, but I know on those other the other two Denzel Washington movies, and then I know Blood Diamond is also kind of like a fictional story laid on top of a real event, or like a real thing. That like
Yeah.
this director has a really good job for me anyway, picking a topic and going, I'm gonna make you think about this,
Yeah.
and I really like that. So I'm just discovering that now. But anyway, before we get into some of before we get into like the likes, I really want to get the elephant in the room, as far as I'm concerned, out of the way.
Okay.
And that's before I say this, Meg Ryan is a great actress. She deserved the place that she had in movies when she was like in them every other
She
year.
she she was
Uh,
America's sweetheart for
yes,
a period there in the 90s.
yeah, and she earned that through her work and through everything that she did. And I feel like this movie to get her an award kind of failed a little bit, and it has to do with every time she said something. Did they have to have her fake a southern accent in this?
I
Because
I,
it's almost parody level to me. It's almost
I I almost wonder. This came out in 1996.
yeah,
At this point, she had worked with Tom Hanks a few times. I'm wondering
yeah.
if she saw what he did in Forrest Gump, and she's like, "Oh, I can do that voice, and that'll get me an Oscar." And then, yeah,
Yeah.
the accent was what threw me the most. Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't get past it in parts. Like, and I feel like some of it was overplayed because a lot of it is the premise of the film is Denzel investigating Meg Ryan's character who died in the war to see if
Yeah.
she's qualified to receive the Medal of Honor. Um, and so he's talking to the people who are in battle with her in this situation where she lost her life, and you're getting their points of views. And I feel like, especially when it gets to the Lou Diamond Phillips, like the accent is just so comical that it
Yeah.
just it seems like it was on purpose. So I don't want to fault her for that because I think it
Yeah.
was intentional that it was that bad.
Yeah.
Because if it
I
wasn't,
mean,
then I don't know.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go with that for now on. That
Yeah.
kind of the whole thing with the with is with the prequels that like no he was directed to act that way. Like it wasn't him. Like that wasn't his choice. Like that was Lucas that made those decisions. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that it might have been a directorial push because I can't imagine her with in 1996. I can't imagine her, the actors around her, everyone on set, and the director hearing that accent and going, yeah, that fits the serious tone for what's going on right now. This totally doesn't sound like she totally doesn't sound like someone that would show up in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Like, um,
Okay. Well, in that sense, let's go back to the example that I gave before. Tom
yeah,
Hanks in Forrest Gump. I've got to say, Bubba, like, you're dealing with just as intense as stuff with that crazy accent. Uh,
but there's
and it works there because it makes sense for that character. It doesn't really make sense in the
yeah,
context of this story.
yeah, okay. Yes, yes. It does not make contact. It does not make sense for her character. It does not make sense for the background of her character or the story. So yeah. So there's that. Now that that's out of the way, um, there's a lot of weird cuts in this movie too. A lot of things that I've noticed over the past, oh God, 30 years that this movie's been out. Um, I've noticed, and one scene is a perfect example of this. It's at the end. Denzel Washington is there in the room with the news reporter from the Washington Post and the general, his boss. And the general asks Denzel if he's done with his report yet, trying to like give a bone to Denzel after everything he's been through. He, to kind of make it seem like he's still on the case for it to give him like the credit.
Yeah.
And Denzel gets up and he walks over in normal, frustrated, about to cry, emotional breakdown Denzel, and he's holding this really thick folder, and he slams the thing down. And then when they cut to show the 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 folder, which you're gonna think is gonna make a giant thud on the table, it cuts to just a hand gently putting the folder down on the table. There's a bunch of weird cuts like that in this movie. So I'm not sure if there was some reshoots or if someone's production notes got lost, but there's a bunch of moments like that in this movie. And that's very also like mid 90s ish when Hollywood was just like, we need to throw stories to the wall, and hopefully together these things will make us a profit for the studio.
Yeah.
And
Um,
feel like there was some of that in this movie. I
yeah.
really do.
It's weird because the cinematographer for this was Roger Deakins, who is like one of the best in the industry. But then you have like continuity errors like that. So it's like, what was the '90s?
Yeah.
Before this, he did Fargo, Shawshank,
Yeah.
Hudsucker Proxy, Barton Fink. So he was like up and coming at this point. Um, but he's known now as like one of the best in the industry. So I mean it shows here, like it looks like it's beautifully shot,
Mhm.
even if it was not edited that well.
Yeah. um yeah. Um so now that I got those two things out of the way, and before we go any further, did you have anything else like did you have anything that along the lines separate from those that I kind of brought up that you were kind of like, okay, this movie's good, but this is a problem. Like this is an issue that's just part of what this movie is.
Not really. Like the movie was pretty straightforward for me. Nothing really jumped out. Like I only watched this the one time, so there weren't really any
Yeah.
big issues that jumped out at me. There were some faces that jumped out at me, like, "Oh, hey, I know that guy from this thing," and "Hey, there's Sean Astin."
Yeah.
Like, um, but yeah, nothing really jumped out at me as jarring in that sense.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing
Uh
would be the actor who plays Meg Ryan's dad, because as soon as he showed up, I was like, Bob Kelso, like he's from Scrubs. Um,
yeah.
so and I don't think I've ever seen him in anything outside of Scrubs. So that was nice.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's one of the that's one of the things I love about going back and watching movies from the like early mid to like the early and mid 90s, because you've got all of these actors who now are considered kind of like the seniors in Hollywood, like
Hmm.
not, like not actors who are retired, but actors that have like 2 decades, 2.5 decades of like movies under their belt, and they're the ones that people look to as like the veterans in the industry. And you go back to watch his movies, and they're doing character, like,
Yeah.
it's like background characters. And so you've got a movie like this where it's like every time someone walks into the room, you're like, oh, I know him from like 50 other things that he's done since then.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
one of the
there
fun things about these
there
older
is one
movies.
that stuck out to me. I don't think I've ever seen Bronson Pinchot in anything with an American accent. Like I was just
Brenton
expecting
Pinchot.
he
Oh,
was
him. Yes, the
yeah,
I just saw his picture. Yeah, I know
Perfect
exactly what you're talking about
Strangers.
now. Yeah. Yeah, he's the one that was taking notes during the first interview where Denzel was talking to the survivors of the first
Yeah.
helicopter crash that went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balky.
He so he that is the stereotype for me. If I were to like make like a 90s film, there has to be someone like him. The hairstyle, the dress, the attitude, very quintessential like 90s I'm going to set the world on fire in
Yeah.
business person. He's only in it for a very short amount of time, but like that character stereotype is someone you find in a lot of these older films. Um, so one of the things that I like about that I loved about this movie when I was younger, even though it doesn't happen a lot in the film, is the tanks and the tank battle, and showing the crew yelling at each other, how chaotic that could be, and then also showing how dangerous tank warfare, even at that point, is.
Yeah.
And when I mean that point, I mean the first Gulf War, because the United States was going in with Abrams, which I think this was the first real action that tank saw. It was developed and put out in like the late 80s. It was supposed to be like the world's most advanced tank at the time. And then I think the T-76s or T-72s that the Iraqi army was using was basically surplus from Russia. So a lot of people saw the first Gulf War as kind of like, finally we get to see these two, like we get to see actual military equipment from the two superpowers that were
Yeah.
at, that were against each other for 60 years finally face off and see how they do. The first Gulf War lasted 100 hours. That's how long that war was.
Was it really that
That's
short?
how advanced. 100 hours.
Okay.
That's all it took. Yeah, to push. Well, because was it the majority of the Iraqi army in Kuwait surrendered. The only ones that actually fought back, with a few exceptions, was Saddam's like Iraqi Guard, like his version of like special units, like special
Yeah.
military units. Those were the only ones that really fought back. Everyone else, I think it was like a 90% surrender rate. Um, because like there was a lot going on leading up to the Gulf War. The United States military were doing fake public war exercises and inviting the media in to film this. And they were saying, yes, these soldiers attacking this beach right now are preparing for the invasion of Kuwait so that our men know what to do. Like they were literally doing things like that on CNN.
Yeah.
And then when the war actually started, we came in from the land, not the sea, and just went right through the country.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, um, but like I said before, the events of this movie are fictional, and that's something that there's a lot of war movies that have come out recently have to do with real events. They are basically nonfiction, even if some of the plot points in are fiction, it's still set on something concrete. I actually like this, that it's not, that the storyline wasn't based on anything real. Um, that it was just the writer and the director going, okay, so friendly fire was a big issue. You know, post-traumatic stress disorder in soldiers is also a real thing. At this point, I'm going to assume by the time they started writing this movie, we were 2 to 3 years removed from the first Gulf War and the
Yeah.
veterans coming back from it. I love this as movie making, as an art form, as trying to get a message across. Telling a fictional story is almost always the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you go for a non-fiction account, you're only talking about one person's point of view. And when you're doing a fictional point of view, you can do multiple stories at once. Like Denzel Washington is dealing with the PTSD of being in a friendly fire incident. Um, you're seeing the consequences of that, of it not being handled correctly
Yeah.
with his alcoholism. And then you've got Meg Ryan's storyline. And I absolutely, more than anything, loved, and something you touched on already, having the different stories and having each surviving crew member at first trying to tell the story to basically cover what happened so they could save their own ass,
Yeah.
and then eventually it all coming down.
Yeah.
Um, and when the movie was released, I haven't looked it up, so I don't know if anyone has. There has not been a woman that has won the congressional medal. It's not congressional. It's just a medal. They say that in the movie.
Yeah.
Just the Medal of Honor. There's not been a woman who has won the Medal of Honor from being in combat. There was a technicality. There was a woman who won it in service, but then it was later rescinded from the Civil War. That
Oh.
I do remember. Um, yeah, like she wasn't in combat. It had to do with service, but then it was taken away. I don't know what the story was behind it. I was like 10 years old when I saw a documentary on the History Channel about it. So I don't really remember much
Okay.
more than that. Um, but and I don't know if if a woman has won it since, or not won it, was given it since. Um, but that was something that they wanted to touch on too. That like that's why in the movie the guy that we were talking about before, Brunson, uh, his character basically went on a little rant about how important it was that like this get handled correctly because she would be the first woman to receive it. And they do a little bit of a speech about that with, you know, like Denzel finding out that it's a woman that he's trying to do research on. And I also like how they make him kind of indifferent to it because I
Yeah.
feel like someone in his position dealing with what he's dealing with in 1996 or 1995 when this movie's taking place um, would basically react the way that he did. He would still go about and do it, but he wouldn't make it some like righteous mission that he had to complete. He cared more about getting things right than he did about making sure that like a woman would finally get it,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed that they kept his character.
Neutral.
They didn't sacrifice, yeah, like they didn't sacrifice the issues that his character was was going through for her storyline.
Yeah, he wasn't
I
just
guess what
giving
I'm
it to her
getting
for
it down.
DEI or anything like that. Like he wanted to make sure she was earning it. So
Yeah. Um but yeah, that's I mean this is pretty much it for me when it comes to this movie. Uh it's something that I it gives a granted a fictional but a good view of like just how war can be. Saving Private Ryan is a great movie. Band of Brothers is a great show. The Thin Red Line is a great movie for like World War II
Yeah.
and like that era. I feel like this movie, was it? This movie does a decent job, not at that level, but a decent job of kind of getting you in the headspace of how things were like after the first Gulf War, of like trying to clean all of that up and getting everything sorted after the fact. Um, I do not recommend The Three Kings as a good realistic example of the Gulf War. Um, that is something that is going to be on the watch list for you guys here soon. If I haven't made you guys watch it already,
You
I
have
can't
not.
remember. Okay, that's one of my favorite George Clooney movies. So that's going to happen at, at some point. But
All right.
yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of scrambling because I had some picks lined up for you guys, for you and Devin together. But with him being out next week as well, I'm scrambling to figure out what I'm going to have you guys watch. Because actually, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to have you watch.
Hmm.
We're gonna watch a film that came out last year. It was a remake of a film that we did earlier on in the show. We're gonna watch the new Running Man.
Okay.
It's on Paramount
Okay.
Plus. But yeah, I want to get your take on the Running Man because that's one thing that I
Okay.
watched recently. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Okay. And no, I haven't. And now that you mentioned it, I just I just had the thought. I think this was going to be the only way that I was ever going to actually watch it
Probably.
because yeah, because I know that this is more true to the book of the same title, and I'll be completely honest. I I I I like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one for the action movie that it is,
Hmm.
and I couldn't care less if it's good to the book or not. I just like it because it's a corny, you know,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie from the 80s. So I'm actually kind of it'll be interesting to watch this one because I'll actually get to know
Yeah.
what the real source material was.
Yeah. Actually, I might be changing my mind. Have you watched Predator Badlands yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I have
You
not
know
had any
what?
time to watch any of these movies.
Well, then I want to watch Predator Badlands. That's why let's save Running Man for when Devin's here. I want to talk Badlands
Okay.
with you. Let's talk about that instead.
Okay.
So next week, Predator Badlands, right here on the podcast. Um,
Sounds
yeah,
good.
sounds good to me too. A little bit of a shorter episode tonight, but that's okay. Um, yeah, that's all we've got. Make sure to subscribe to You Have to Watch This podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are uploading all of our most recent episodes there and then working on our backlog when we get a chance. In the meantime, you can watch all of our older episodes on YouTube and catch up there. In the meantime, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan,
I am Ryan.
and we will see you next week.